Hi, okay. This is the first log I'm making just in the process of story I'm writing, Chronicles of Reincathe, impending. Um, right here I've just got what I've set up so far. Everything true up to this first log. Obviously this one's going to be a bit longer because, you know, I've done a lot of writing up to this point and I haven't summarized everything up. Right now I'm probably just going to go over the basics of the worlds along with maybe the story of what I'm doing. When it comes down to details of magic systems, of alchemy, and other world things, I'll probably make separate videos on those. Definitely a separate one on how magic works, what magic is, because a lot of that won't actually be explained in this story because of, it doesn't need to be. It's a lot of information, and I may expand on it later. Um, Maybe in like an appendix, if not another story. But yeah, for now, I'll just go over the basics. So I've got this record, and with that in mind, yeah, I'll go. As was at the top, today is the 7th of February. It's my girlfriend's birthday. Happy birthday, Izzy. I love you very much. Um, Currently, the story's at 9958 words. That isn't quite right. It's about 300 or so under, because on the page I've got the language, or I say language, more of the kind of semi-cipher language I've put together for this, and take away that 300, you've got the actual story. I need it on the page because I copy across the symbols because they're not normal text. But I'll get into that another time. That's there's no point in like going into the language now because it's filler, it's flavor. I'll do a video on it at some point once I've got everything else under control. It's really not a priority. Get back to this. Chapter 3, I probably already finished it, but I haven't decided where the split is, so I'll have to kind of resize, reform things so that I've got that chapter existing. Whereas now I'm moving into the content, that'll probably be chapter 4. Chapter 4 might be a bit shorter than the previous 3, but that's it. That's for the next log when I've actually done it. But yeah, okay, going into what we've got. In this world, just to go over the basics of the structure so that I don't have to go over it again. There is magic. Magic comes in a lot of forms. There's kind of nature magic. There's, you know, lots of different, I guess, species you could say, like little imps and goblins and orcs and whatever, which can use magic as well as people. Magic, as we would use it, magic with a C is a very broad idea. It exists in, hundreds, thousands of different ways. But magic, spelled with a K, magic, if you want to try and pronounce it, is a discipline. It's an academic process as much as it is a skill. It's not just, you know, oh, I can do X and Y, and this is what people can do, whereas other magic is what other things can do. It is very specifically this academic literature and study and tradition focused thing, which is a little bit elitist, but I'll be looking into that. The other important type of magics, there are a few, there's two more which are relevant for the story. I won't go into them again too deep. One is traveler magic. Now, travelers are a kind of person in the world. Again, probably a video on travelers at some point, but probably later on the line because a lot of information about them is not in this book, or I need to figure out the details of. But traveler's magic doesn't work along the same rules as systematic magic with a K. Magic with a K is spoken. There are specific words associated with specific things. I mean, you could say like, think Harry Potter. Vada Kedavra does that. Expelliarmus does that. Not quite that simple, but that kind of idea. You need the word to do it. It's not optional unless you are very skilled. At which point you still need the word. You just don't need to enunciate it. Traveler magic does not work like that. It is compared by some to nature magic, stuff done by like a sylph or some sort of elemental. You can do it without, I wasn't say without thinking, but without speaking, without doing any sort of like ritual for it. You can just do it, and it's done. And the processes it can do are not the same as can be done by traditional magic. simply put, traditional magic, a bit of fire, a bit of necromancy, all that fun, fancy stuff. Traveler magic affects just physicality. It's hard to describe without going into much detail, which I really need to avoid now. But say if you wanted to push someone over at a distance, a magic person with a K, would throw a blast of air at them, or I don't know, maybe move the earth under their feet so they trip. Traveler would force push them. They would, or just kind of, they're over. This manipulation of force is weird, can't be done through normal magic, as I think it cannot be done. It can be mimicked using air and, blah blah, can't be done in the same way. Yeah, there's a few other aspects to it. Travelers have a bit of, enhanced senses, better vision, better hearing, better smell, that kind of stuff, and also are very good at tracking. One thing they can do, they see a creature, they can kind of lock onto that, and to a reasonable degree, they will never lose that creature. They will know where it is. Yeah, these things, kind of interesting, but more importantly, people don't like it. It's not something people are a fan of, and travelers aren't super common, but they are known. They're more of a kind of, I want to say a myth, but not as much a myth, more of a kind of a boogeyman. People see them, they know what they are, they know that they're just people, but also they're suspicious, they're weird, they're just there. And more importantly, they're different because they are born like that. Travelers are born travelers, and they can't do anything to stop it. They have to live like it or suffer pretty badly for not living like that. It's not a culture, it's kind of, you might say it's genetic. It's something that's just in you when you're born, and that's how it is. When I say it's genetic, that is probably how it travels, because you have traveler families who you look at and go, yeah, they're going to be travelers, their kids are going to be travelers. We know that because their ancestors are travelers. It's not hard and fast, a traveler family will have kids who aren't travelers, and that's fine. And out of the blue, you'll spontaneously get travelers arising from families that just, for no reason, suddenly have a traveler in them. Either way, people don't like them. Not don't like them to like a serious, horrific degree. It's not like you see a traveler, another traveler, and kill them on the spot. It's more of a general distrust, and some people get past it, some people don't. It depends on one thing or another. Now, I've already waxed far too long on that, and I'll briefly go over the last bit of magic, and that is alchemy. Now, alchemy is not alchemy as we know it. It's not the transfer of, metals up and down. It can be done in this alchemy, but that's not its focus. What it is the fusion of two disciplines. One, our lovely academic magic with a K, and two, medicine. Now, medicine doesn't mean medicine as in, okay, I have made, I don't know, aspirin, and I've, tied up your leg. It can mean that, but also it means the creation of chemistry, chemical stuff. What you might traditionally say is alchemy, like, the making of gunpowder. That is medicine. But it's separate from alchemy because it doesn't need magic. Medicine is the process, basically medicine's chemistry, but it's a broader thing, and because it all comes out of originally just making medicine, but trying to help people and do one thing or another, the name is stuck. Alchemy, or chemicals, are things which are made through the traditional medicine and enhanced and improved with magic. It's a bit stigmatized against because it's primarily practiced, or was primarily practiced by witches, people who took magic, this great discipline, and mixed it with the medicine, which isn't actually as systematic as magic with a K. This means that it was kind of shunned, and in a lot of places it was illegal to use and practice, partially because it's also quite hard to regulate. Someone can say, oh, I can make this, I can make that, and they might make you some wonderful cure, or they might kill everyone in the village because they've done something terribly wrong and they didn't know till it was too late. Also, you can make drugs with it. You could already make drugs, but you can make magic drugs, and magic drugs you don't really want people having free reign over. Now, that's all about magic. I've gone over the fact that there are other races in this world which aren't human. Travelers are human, I clarify, but like, orcs, imps, blah blah. Covering all this area now, aren't we? This takes a lot longer than the rest, don't you worry. Leaves us to this final bit. Here I'm mentioning the channeling of magic. All you need to know for now is magic is channeled. Normally that would mean magic with a K is channeled through the person. Magic in the world is channeled through the person, but also can be channeled through these things called artifacts and other stuff, but it's not the point now. Artifacts are just things. They can be pretty innocuous or they can be ridiculously obvious. You could have a glowing flying sword, or you could have a rock, just a rock. But as you interact with the rock, you realize, oh no, there's something else in here, or it's somehow enchanted or bewitched. More than often, they're tools or instruments or something which can be used as an obvious use, but you're not sure how it's. Get back to it. They have obvious uses, but that doesn't necessarily relate to their function. Artifacts have magical power. What kind of magical power? Don't know. Depends on the artifact. Some are really quite strong, really quite powerful. Others are what you'd say is mundane. They might apparently have no power. No one knows what they do. Doesn't need to do anything useful. You don't really care. But they're there, kind of a paperweight. Others, by which I mean the majority, do something, but there's not really much to it, is there? The way I've said it is you might find a artifact that when you drop it into a vat of milk, turns it into butter at double the speed you would normally. Still got to pound it, but less. It works, but it's not that good, It's just a thing. Now, what ties all these together is that artifacts are why travelers are called travelers. They travel because they need to find these artifacts. This isn't, I want to go find some artifacts. It's they have a draw to artifacts, to specific ones. At any point in time, there are down periods, but usually after the discovery of an artifact, a traveler has a draw on them in a direction, a physical direction, to find an artifact. It's not always a straight line, but it is pointing towards this artifact, and they need to find it because the longer they stay away from it, the worse they will feel. The closer they get to it, the better they'll feel. This isn't just a feeling happy, this is feeling irritable, feeling ill, feeling sad, and travelers who try and reject who they are generally don't turn out very well. It's kind of a requirement. Now, artifacts, when found, usually are taken into the possession of that traveler, and you can just keep them, have all your artifacts you need. But it's not always that simple, obviously. I don't need to go into it in detail, but imagine you find your artifact is owned by a very rich person who doesn't like giving away their stuff, and you don't have nearly the funds to buy it off them. What do? You got three options. One, you leave it. You are in perpetual torment, hoping that for whatever reason suddenly you get drawn over to another artifact, which doesn't really happen much. You're just going to be stuck. Two, you try and steal it, which could just get you killed. Honestly, that's not a good outcome for you. Three, you do something to get it, which could be really bad for you. I'm adding a fourth option now. Fourth, you destroy it and you suffer the consequence. Basically, artifacts could be just you go for a ride for a few days, pick something up, come back, not much happens. Or you could be risking your life to get, the butter churner 3000. It's not worth it, but it's not up to you whether it's worth it. Now, as I quickly pointed on, artifacts can be destroyed, but if you destroy an artifact and it's linked to you or linked to a traveler, that traveler is not going to go well for them. It's going to cause injury, cause illness, maybe even kill them. Who knows? But it depends on a few things. But it's not good. You don't destroy them unless you really need to or really want to. But anyway, I've said so much and said so little at the same time. Now, let's go for the story, because God, luckily I'm never going to have to go over all of that again in another video. Priscilla is our protagonist. She isn't actually introduced by name until nearly the end of chapter 3, which is due to me not knowing where I'm splitting the chapter. But she is a traveller. She's from a traveller family, but not the main line of one. Her mother was a traveller, and she now was a traveller. Her father isn't. He stays at home. She doesn't see him that often, blah, blah, I didn't read where I was. This has gone over a lot of what I said already. Yeah, some born travelers, some pure at random, as I've said. Yes, I was meant to zoom in. Okay, moving to the story. She's on the road. She's on the road to this place called Reincathe. She finds out she's being spied on by this impy thing. And she goes, okay, this is a problem. There's probably an ambush. This is a road, there's going to be bandits, there's going to be ambushes, it's always going to happen, there's always a chance of it happening. So she prepares. Ends up, she is discovered and approached by 4 men, one of whom is pretty imposing and manages to steal her bag, just hanging off of her horse. Horse is called Carla. Lovely little thing. Not that little, lovely thing. Her bag contains, obviously, the stuff she needs to live, like her clothes, her bedding, her supplies, her medicine, and also the artifacts she has with her. As a side note, you don't have to have all your artifacts with you at all times as a traveller. You can set up locations like hallowed spots where you can store them. If they're there, that's fine. Most travellers, including Priscilla, just have kind of a hallowed storage at home, meaning that there, it's safe. You can also have others. You can have more than one active at once, but it takes a bit to set up, and someone can just walk in and take it if it's in the open. So, she has some with her for functional reasons. The thing is, they've just taken all her artifacts, and she can't just let them go. It's not an option. So she has to head back to the camp and try and take them. She leaves Carla on the road, well, just off the road, out of sight. Not a good idea to leave your horse on the road. And says, if I'm not back by dark, continue down the road. I know Rhinecath's 8 hours away or so. If you're running, maybe more. So you can find someone, you can bring someone back. Hopefully you can, convince someone to come here. I forgot to mention the traveller section. Travellers can talk to intelligent animals. Sorry, that comes out of left field now because I didn't mention it then. But yeah, intelligent animals comes in. It's written somewhere here that there's a difference between sapient and conscious. Well, sapient? Sentient. It says sapient, sorry. Sentient. Conscious animals is anything with intelligence. Horses have intelligence. Pigs have intelligence. That level. Blackbirds probably don't have intelligence. Crows might. It's that kind of range. Intelligence and this consciousness are separate from sentience. Sentience is what you would say is semi-human. It's this kind of understanding that I am who I am. If you're sentient, you can use magic, meaning that imps and orcs and such can also use magic. It's not just a human thing. Anyway, moving back to all the stuff I should have been onto already. Carla is left there, and Priscilla has to head into the woods to try and find these people. Luckily, she used her ability to mark the guy. She knows where he is. So she approaches this camp, and manages to set up a distraction and get back to her things. In doing so, she discovers that this guy who's taken her stuff and the 3 other men with him are a family. These are his 3 sons. So she goes, distracts the 2 sons who are still in the camp picking through her stuff, as, the father and the other son are off, I say guarding. What they're doing isn't so important, but they're not there. She gets most of her stuff together. She's about to leave. She's looking for her money, which is, it's been taken. It's in the tent somewhere. When she is approached by the man, he knew that she was there. She was taken by surprise, and he threatens her, obviously. Interestingly, he doesn't just kill her. He doesn't just try to kill her. She doesn't need to fight for her life for this, because he has some level of mercy. This comes to a head when she brings up what she's overheard. This man's son, his oldest son, one of the ones there, is ill. Ill in a way that he doesn't understand and no one understands, and is slowly getting worse. She's an alchemist. Our protagonist here is an alchemist. She's a medicine person. She's, to an extent, a witch. A few years ago, when she was very young, alchemy was legalized. There was a great old plague in one of the cities, and alchemy helped it from, becoming really bad. So people thought, you know what, this isn't so bad. You know what, we can give this some credit. Let's allow this. She offers this, but he's not particularly happy with the person who's broken into his camp, clearly tricked his sons off somewhere into the forest. They could be hurt, and just, is saying, "Oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can do that." He's distracted as his sons return. She manages to get away, sprint off to the forest, and it's not looking good. So, what does she do? Sorry, wait a sec. Okay, cool, yeah. Sorry. She runs away, and using one of the bits of alchemy that she had left over, which is... She set this up earlier, it is explained. All the stuff's already written, by the way, but yeah. She takes this thing, this drug. It's called speed. It's speed. It makes you quick. Pretty simple. And she sprints away to the forest so that this guy, who's clearly very fit, clearly very fast, cannot catch her. She can feel him following, but after a relatively short time, he gives up. But she keeps running and running and running because she doesn't want to die. It's that simple, isn't it? She's just going. By the time she stops, she doesn't know how far she's gone. It's a long way, and she doesn't know where she is. She knows where the guy is. He's still tracked. She didn't let that go. She needs to know how to get back. But she trips over a bramble, and she's running faster than a person can. She's pretty close to Usain Bolt, like that kind of speed, because of what she's taken. When she falls, her knee gets damaged quite badly. She realizes that she can't keep running away. She's got to get back to Carla. She's got to get back. She's got to do something. Maybe get to the town, see if they're still here. She's not sure. So first thing, just head back. Find Carla. Just survive. So she heads on her way back and is captured. Not by the man, but by two of his sons. The younger two. Seemingly, she's been tracked this whole way, not by the man, but by an impy thing. The impy thing that originally spotted her, that has been around this entire time. Now, she was running. Now she's hobbling along effectively, and being caught, she's not going down without a fight. She's got her sword out, threatening them, saying, "Don't you dare! You know I can cut you down. You know I'm magical. You saw what I did." She'd just batted their dad's weapon out of the way when she ran. It's not anything big, but they don't know that. But they raise an offer. Now that he wasn't angry, their dad has suggested actually she can help. And it becomes apparent that they're not bandits in the simple sense. They're desperate. This is their first attempt at this. Thing is, they need the money. This kid's going to die. So instead of just letting him die, or just going out to the next town and seeing if they can help, they want to take this chance. She goes back with them. This is not because, this is the best option, this is a great idea. It's because she doesn't have much of a choice. But also, maybe if she complies, it's going to help. Getting in, it seems that's the case. The atmosphere is not this tense hell that she thought it was going to be. She's welcomed. Food is on the fire. She is being given a bowl of it, given a chair to rest her knee, and once pleasantries are out of the way, they talk business, and it's clear they want help. But as we learn in the conversations following, help isn't what she thought. She thought maybe he's got some sort of onset illness, what we might call, maybe something like a leukemia, something that's very serious. But in a world where they have magic, they have alchemy, if you know how to treat it, if it hasn't been too long, you can. Turns out it seems more like a curse. What he has is just a leeching of his very self, something that usually would be put on you. And as the stories go on, it's roughly dropped by this man, whose name I haven't given any name, sorry, it's having Priscilla. This man's name, Andrew. It turns out that Andrew knows that there used to be some witches in the village. A coven up in the hills, one that a long time ago was run out. They were all killed because there was fear that they were poisoning the earth. Ironically, the earth was poisoned, but only after they died. And now it's almost impossible to grow anything. Sorry about the hair. It's almost impossible to grow anything around the village. They're a logging town. They live off the trees, but they don't have anything that's growing which they can eat, even though they have as much stuff to sell as they need. They're surviving off trade. They're a pretty good trade route. That's how they make most of their money, passing nobles and such, and putting up travelers. But they're struggling, and they've been doing something, and it's vague, and he won't go into too much detail. But they've been doing something which has been turning the tide. Turns out, after a night's sleep, that Priscilla can only do so much. She's been looking at this, she's been talking to the guy. Garrett is the name of the ill son. The other son's name, just because why not say Klein and Sam. Klein being the middle child, he's more of a bulky fellow. He was guarding his dad, and Sam, who's a bit younger, he's a bit silly, but he was still out there with a weapon. He's not nothing. But from what Garrett says, and what he's also vague about, there's something in the village which he tried to use, and it made him like this. He hasn't told his dad this is what made him like this, because his dad knows what this thing is. His dad knows the consequence of taking it. And if his dad knows that... Sorry, phrasing this is difficult, because it's the way I'm saying it now, it's a kind of, you don't want to say anything, because no reasons, bad communication. It's a shitty story point. It's not bad communication. It is... How do I say this? This bit has been quite written, so yeah. He doesn't want to tell his dad because he knows roughly what the consequences are. He doesn't want to worry his dad, no. I'll get back to this. I haven't fully thought out this point. It's not critical. It can be worked around. It can even be that he doesn't know. That's not the important bit. I'll get back to what we know because I'm moving off to bits I haven't finished writing yet. But yeah, there's curses and witches that were in the town, the suspicion over it, and Priscilla realises that she can't cure this. Now, where this dash line is here, this isn't... actually I'll do this just so that it's on video. Got the points there. Beyond here, it's lovely 8, for whatever reason. This is all conjecture. This is to go over quickly or semi-quickly because I haven't written it yet. It's what's going to go on in the rest of that act. It's probably going to be split up into 2 acts of the book, maybe 3, probably 2. I like the idea of the climax where I put it because it really changes the tone of what she's doing there. But yeah, the medicine that she can make is temporary. It's equivalent of something that's already been prescribed to the guy, but only has been working so long. She can enhance it with alchemy, she can make it last much longer. But all she can do is this. She isn't honest about it, obviously, because you don't want to say to the bandit who said, okay, cure my son, I'll give you his stuff. I can't do it. So she just goes with it and says, this should work. I'll keep monitoring for a bit, but it should work. Seems to be working, but there are suspicions. Turns out the son, Garrett, he's not stupid. He's seen what he's been taking before, and he's pretty sure this isn't going to work. The suspicions are mounting, but there's still tension, and she's still able to help, and she's still talking to them. When things start to get to a bit of a head, in come the town guard. Town guard were fetched by her horse, and after, the evening, a full day, they arrive in the afternoon. She, interestingly, doesn't act like these bandits have taken her and been stealing her stuff. What she says is that they helped her, that she injured herself, she fell from a horse, and that they were helping her in the meantime, and she was helping them in return. This comes out very well, seeing as this guy is known. He is someone from the the town. And they go, well, thanks for helping out. We know that you left. It's a shame you left so quickly. Is everything fine? And, they travel back together. Sorry. A clarification is given that for what they've done, I haven't started this well for phrasing. Sorry, the rest of the video is probably going to be a bit more like this because it's more theoretical and I haven't got it written down to think from. But what Priscilla says is when she goes into town, she doesn't say this. What she decides is that when she goes into town, what she can do is work and, bring up some money for herself, of course, in the town, but also she can help fund the care for this guy. The big issue being one of the ingredients that's needed is, it's not written here, but I've got a particular ingredient, just an odd thing. This ingredient is quite expensive, so they need the money for it. If a down payment of sorts can be given to this guy, Priscilla will work with the town for a while. She'll bring in, good knowledge, medical knowledge, maybe alchemical knowledge, and help with what she's heard is a bit of an issue in the town, as well as just, help with supplies. She has some with her, she can sell them on, etc. She can effectively pay with them. But this down payment will help this guy move to the next town where they have more medicine, possibly even into the city, where, to say briefly, near a city, this place called Orth. Orth is a magician city. It's very much like it's an academics place. Like, there's loads of people there, but like the center is ruled by academics. It's a real, I was going to say meritocracy, not a meritocracy. I've done academics my whole life. Haha, I'm smart. Ruled place. But yeah, either way, some funds for that are kind of brought up, and people believe her. So this arrangement is put upon. In private, she's able to talk to Andrew and clarify to him that this is obviously not quite a truthful arrangement, but she wants to get to the bottom of this. End of the day, these people intrigue her because this isn't what she was expecting. She thought she was going to die more than once in this trip so far, and she's been at their mercy, and she wants to pay that back if she can. So she heads back to town with them. They get some supplies and head off soon. And mention is made that this man does have another son, an oldest son, but he's separated by quite a few years from the others. Turns out this oldest son kind of has his own life here. He is the town guard, well, head of guard now that his father's left. And he's not so keen on outsiders. Not so keen on outsiders or on alchemy, for a fact. Having had a bit of a run-in with him on arrival, she's not quite sure how to feel about him, but moves on for now. This guy's name I haven't quite decided on, but it's not important. Well, it's important, but it's not important to know now. So she heads into the town, with permission, has a meeting with the local matriarch. And oddly, she doesn't get the answer she wants. At mention of an artifact that may be in the area, because something I didn't mention, the further you are from an artifact, or something the more specific the pull, that's not as much true. I guess, the further you are from an artifact, the more specifically you know the direction of it, but that's not because the further you are, the more direct the pull. That would be weird. Imagine there's like an aura of, say, random number, doesn't matter, doesn't even need to be consistent throughout artifacts. Say there's a 100-meter radius around each artifact which you're attracted to. If you're 30 kilometers away, you know what direction that is, because the difference between here and here and here, 100 meters away. When you're this far away, it's there and there. I'm explaining something I don't need to. Sorry. But yeah, she knew it was in the town, but now that she's here, she knows that it's in the vicinity, but she doesn't know exactly where it is. The matriarch is very defensive, or more accurately, dismissive, that there is nothing here, and that she should move on. Obviously suspicious. It's not meant to be super subtle and clever. She's being told to get the hell out of there, but politely, or more accurately, to get out or stop searching. So, instead of leaving, because she's a traveller, this isn't an option, she can't leave, this is just not a thing she can do. She follows up on her word. She works as the doctor's assistant. When I say assistant, she's probably better than the doctor, but either way, The doctor knows the town, knows the people, knows what grows nearby, what little grows nearby. It's useful. It's a good arrangement. Treating people nearby, she learns a bit about the town, some bits about its history, meets some other people, gets an idea of the vibe, sees a few people travelling through as well. Some people noble in a sense or so, they get a bit of special treatment. But more interestingly, a few of her patients exhibit very similar symptoms to Garrett. It's clear that they have whatever he has, this thing which appears almost like a curse. Turns out, there's something they were using. They don't know what to call it, but what they say is the little disc that they were holding, and they were using it magically, and they were clearing the earth. This cursed earth I talked about before, they were clearing it, and it did this to them. Or more accurately, they don't know it did this to them, but they know both that they did this and now that they're like this. It's not a perfect correlation to say it doesn't happen to everyone, but this is clearly what happened. There's something causing this, and Priscilla, not being an idiot, thinks maybe this is the artifact I'm looking for. Now, it's a compass. It's written here it's a compass. Whether or not they know it's a compass, not that important. But Priscilla doesn't think out is something she heard from Andrew. Garrett's been given, 100 different treatments for this, and none of them have worked. Or as I said, one of them did something, but none of them have treated it. One of them, he seemed to be allergic to. He had it, and he was coughing up blood. He was bad, really bad. They made sure not to get him near it again. And this thing, Priscilla gives it to one of the patients. It seems that this illness is probably something to do with kind of a breaking of the soul. A lot of curses do it. It's kind of like, say instead of shooting someone, you shot them with a soul bullet. That's the worst analogy I can think of, isn't it? But you shot them, and they've got a hole in them, and that doesn't heal up easily. And it affects everything without being visible. So this medicine, or this plant, which, is usually quite good at this, it's expensive, but not expensive like the others. It doesn't do what she expects. It doesn't cure. It doesn't kind of bridge the gap. It causes these same symptoms. And she ends up, and here I say he isn't. I say he. They aren't killed. Maybe they are killed. I'm still thinking about it. Maybe I'll kill them off. Probably I will kill them off. They don't need to come back, so no reason for them not to be killed off, and it always hits harder when someone does. But, we'll see. Maybe they can come back to life, the worst trope. Anyway, yes. Allergic reaction, blah, blah. But yeah, most importantly, Priscilla is banned from helping anymore. It said she's no longer under debt. What she's done, it's fine. No worries. She doesn't need to keep working. She just needs to stop. They don't want her anymore. This isn't just, she did something wrong. It happens. Medical mistakes, especially this very odd one. Problem is, they don't believe that she just gave them something. There have been rumours that she's been using alchemy to help people, when she was told specifically by the doctor, not by the town, by the doctor, not to use alchemy, that it was just not something we use here. She has been. They're right, she has been. Shouldn't use it in this case. It didn't cause this, but they think it did. So she's out. No. They're not arresting her. They're not ending her life over this. But she thinks it's probably a good idea not to just stick around the town. She's under surveillance. They know that she knows something. They know that she's done things. She's bad news. So she heads out of town. Or she's about to, when she hears an opportunity. Instead of heading out, in the woods trying to work out what to do in the meantime, there's a festival being held soon for a passing lord. These have happened already, miniature ones, but this is a large one, because who's coming through is he's visiting Orth. He's a big thing, and as his convoy goes past, there's going to be a lot of stuff. Let them stay the night in, the grandest inn and all of that. And she decides during this festival, she's going to find that compass. Well, the disc that she doesn't know is a compass. Or maybe she does, either way. During the festival, she does. It's as simple as that. This guy comes through. Bit of a prat, but gives them money, so the town's happy. She sneaks into the lodge of the matriarch. Very, very illegal. Very, very bad. She finds in a back room, locked up, but being a traveller and for reasons I explain, she can get in. Basically, traveller magic, because it's detailed body blood, she can unlock locks pretty easily. Another reason people don't like travellers, they can unlock doors. She gets in, and she finds this disc. She finds the compass. She picks it up, realises that she knows where the artifact is, and it's not in her hand. The compass is directing her. The needle flips around in a direction, somewhere else. Now, what ends up happening here is that she gets whacked over the back of the head by Andrew's son, the older son, who was following her. He waited until she committed a crime, waited until they knew exactly what she was doing, and she is now very, very arrested, very under supervision, and she is very sure they're going to kill her. Realistically, what is she going to think? They've arrested her, she's found out some secret, and she knows that they've got an artifact, and she knows that it's powerful. Like, when you pick up something with that kind of power, you know. Some bits here, I know something, they sound weird and not very well thought out, and it's because I haven't written them, I haven't done this, like, focused writing on it, but I know what's happening. It makes sense, it's just, when I write it down, if something feels a bit weird, I'll read it and go, wow, that sucks, and I'll rewrite it. Everything makes sense in line, for now at least. What she does is she escapes, because of course she does, she's a traveller. The one thing she can do is escape. They put her in a big old locked room, but didn't consider the fact that she can unlock locks, because no one's really sure what travellers can do. Travellers know, I mean anyone who reads up on it knows, but a random country bumpkin town doesn't really know. They don't know that she unlocked the door with magic, for all they know, she could have broken in. But yeah, she convinces this guy through being very, I don't know, interesting, of a couple things, manages to get out. This is something I haven't thought out very thoroughly from this point onwards. I know what happens in story beats, but not in detail. Sorry. But yeah, she gets out of the prison, having tricked the guy. She goes into the forest and tries to find the loggers. I'm thinking she might be able to put a track on the artifact, but I'm not so sure. Actually, no, I don't need to. What do I? I will think this through. I might rewrite a bit, but more importantly, somehow, either through luck or through just lots of searching, or because she's tracking the artifact itself, she finds a group out, I say logging, but actually finding patches of earth to clear. She's watching, she's listening, she's observing that they are using this compass to clear the earth and to make things, growable. She manages to steal it off them without noticing at first, and with further examination, basically confirms what she's hearing to enough of an extent, and unfortunately is, I was going to say captured, she's not captured, she's approached by the people. They realise what's happened, and they've got their weapons down at her and all that. Now, she doesn't really want this to happen. She's realised, holding it now and focusing on it, it's not the artifact she needs. It's pointing somewhere else. And turns out that there is another artifact somewhere that's clearly linked to this one. That's the one that she's been targeted for. The one that she's linked with. She explains this and just basically says, I need to work with you. I need to work out what's going on. And she manages to convince them. They realize that she's not trying to ruin them. She's not going to attack them. She's not going to even take their compass. She just wants to help them and help this town. For her own goals, of course, but either way, she's not a threat. End of the day, they're not sure, though. This isn't their call to make, so they decide, we'll take it to the matriarch. She can make the decision. We can have this discussion. The matriarch has been pretty considerate so far, pretty reasonable, if at points obtuse because they have secrets to hide. But then comes the climax. This magician's son, I say this magician's son because I've written like that, Andrew's son, has followed her. He's the guard, he's smart, he has tracked her here. She wasn't, it wasn't like she got here, she floated here. There were broken leaves, there were broken twigs. At a vague guess, he knew roughly where she'd be going, and she finds her. She finds her, he finds her. This isn't good, crazily enough. Sorry, I'm just considering taking this guy and making him a woman because actually that might work better. But either way, he tries to shoot her. He thinks that she's just tricking these people like she's just tricked him. He just, he thinks it's very much within his rights to kill her where she stands for stealing again the thing that she's in prison for. And unfortunately, it doesn't work out that way. Well, for him. When the bolt flies, funnily enough, Priscilla notices. This is, traveler hearing, traveler sight. She knows that he's coming just before he's there. So when the bolt flies, on instinct, she throws out a bit of magic. I want to say it's "but" or something like that, or that's. I sound like a YouTubing idiot, but yeah. This puts up God, stop doing that. This kind of dirt. It's midnight. Sorry. This kind of magic is very simple earth magic. Throws up an earth shield, throws up just a lump. But turns out, when you're holding an incredibly powerful magical conduit that you don't understand, and you throw out a spell without thinking about it, you raise a massive ridge of earth and rock up in front of you. This throws the trees onto their sides. It destroys a chunk of forest. And most dramatically, it sends the child of Andrew flying, crumpling to the ground. This is a ridiculously hard hit, and Priscilla, unfortunately, doesn't get to find out what happens because she is streaming blood from her nose and is almost immediately unconscious. I mean, I don't really need to explain it, it's pretty obvious, I think, but she's channeled a ridiculous amount of magic through this thing. She has a rough idea that it is a channeling device. It's something to increase power of one sort or another, and it's got something odd to it too. But she's channeled so much magic through her in such a short time. She's no sage. She's a magician, but she's not like incredibly powerful for lots of reasons I'll go into. Some elitist and classist, but what she does is she is just in trouble. I'll sum it up with that. She's completely overwhelmed herself. And at the end of Act 1, this man crumples to the ground, unmoving, as does Priscilla. Yeah. I could go into the further details of the story. I don't think it's worth it, to be honest. Like, right now, it's not a good idea to just go over everything like this and just try and go through something I don't need to, but hello. Yeah. To summarize it, Priscilla went into the village, herself taken by bandits. When she tries to get it back, she discovers that there's an illness which is affecting one of the bandits' children. She injures herself running away, but is taken in by the bandits when they find her, taking her up on an offer she made to cure the ill child. Turns out that she can't, but she still manages to escape because the town's guard come, because her horse ran off and got them, and I didn't remember that. And, she's taken safely to the town. She leaves on good terms with these bandits, however, because it was legitimately out of mercy that they saved her, not just out of a business idea. And what they decide to do, Priscilla decides to do, is to help out the town. When she gets there, she discovers something weird is going on. She helps out with the doctor to kind of get a better idea of what's going on, also make some money just so she can stay and do what she needs to do. But it turns out they don't really like it when she goes around doing alchemy when they ask her not to, even if she is helping more people. After one of her patients dies, these suspicions come to a head, even though they're wrong in this particular case, and she is stopped being allowed to work. They basically say, you're not allowed to be a doctor, you're not allowed to work with this and that, and that's effectively you have to get out, we don't have anything you can do here. Instead of letting that happen, she waits for the next festival, which is, being a trading town, a man comes through, being a trading town, when a noble or lord comes through, there's a chance of being a festival or an event. When the matriarch is out of, the matriarch's castle, out of the kind of town hall, Priscilla sneaks in, finds the magic compass, which is causing all the issues, but is captured and imprisoned for getting it. She manages to escape the prison by tricking the guard, finds people with a compass in the forest, gets a better idea of what's going on through watching them, and then by stealing it and examining it briefly, makes a kind of tentative deal that she wants to help them and she has more knowledge and artifacts than any of them do, being a traveller. And as they're about to accept the deal and go to the matriarch and kind of get it finalised and see what they're going to do about it, the guard, who is the son of Andrew, the son of the bandit man whose other son is ill, it may not even be a son, shoots at her, which she blocks, accidentally channeling ridiculous amounts of magic through the pocket watch, hitting him incredibly hard. The fact that I'm not saying killing him is just kind of a giveaway, isn't it? He's not dead, but he is hit incredibly hard by this. Priscilla is also badly wounded because she's channeled a ridiculous amount of magic in a way that she shouldn't, in a way that she's no way fit to do. Yeah, I don't know how many of these I'm going to do. Right now it was more just kind of to get my thoughts together thing, maybe even to look back on as like a learning thing, assuming I can take the sound of my own voice. If it's in enough time, maybe my voice is going to have changed a lot, so there's that too. Yeah, if for some reason someone who isn't me watches this and is interested, cool, but this is a personal project and I just want a record of it, and YouTube's a nice place to do it. Yeah. If you are watching, put any thoughts in the comments. Yeah, I'll probably respond. There's like maybe one of you, if that. Yeah. Cool. I don't need to do an outro, do I? It's just me. Might as well. Hopefully next time I can fill in all the stuff which I was unsure on this time. Maybe with some fun revisions, or maybe I'll just do a big drop in the magic system soon and melt my own brain on it. Ciao. Wait, you didn't see that. Ciao.